The first thing to understand is that we are all getting older than ever before. In the last 50 years, the average life expectancy, once you hit the age of 60, has increased by 10 years. In the 1970s, if you lived to the age of 60, you'd expect to live another 18 years. Modern day, that figure's shot up to 28 years. Now, why is this an issue? Well, you're not earning money during retirement, you're just spending money. And that money has to come from somewhere. Now, traditionally, that's always been in the form of either government pension schemes or employment pension schemes. But because of this extra life expectancy, these are becoming more and more onerous to both governments and employers. And government's in a pretty tricky situation, if we're being honest, because they have three hard choices. They can raise taxes in order to fund everyone else's retirement, which is a very politically unfavourable move. Two, they can increase the retirement age, so there's a less number of years of retirement or pension income they have to pay out. Or three, they can reduce retirement benefits, which again is a very politically unfavourable approach to take. Now, we've seen most governments across the Western world look towards option two, increasing the retirement age. But of course, this is an unsustainable approach when it comes to how to manage these ever-inflating costs, because otherwise we're going to have people in their 70s in full-time work. Now, companies are in an even worse boat, because companies can only reduce retirement benefits. They could, I suppose, use corporate profits to pay more into retirement schemes, but that's not something which shareholders are going to be happy with. And we've really seen this over the last 50 years, some previously very generous final salary pension schemes being shifted towards money purchase schemes, which has a lot less long-term protection for the individual. The truth is that everyone who is looking to retire in the next 30 years is likely to have far less retirement benefits if they do nothing than their parents and their grandparents. And the responsibility has really kind of been pushed towards the individual in order to secure their future. Now, that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is that in addition to all growing older than we've ever grown before, we're also having less children. If we look at the birth rates across the US, Europe, and globally, we can see that they're falling at a startling rate. Now, in the short term to individuals, that's not a bad thing if you're having less kids, because that's less money that you have to essentially afford for their school bills and such. But when we get to retirement, that means we're going to have the most amount of people who have ever been in retirement ever before, just because we're all getting older, with the lowest proportion of people in the workforce than ever before, because those kids that we're not having would normally grow up and become taxpayers, have jobs, and those taxes all feed into our social support systems and pay your pensions, or government pensions at least, in retirement. So the fact that the pensions are getting less generous, we're having less number of years attached to them, that's not a problem which is likely to solve itself. It's actually a problem which is likely to get worse. Now, because of this, it really is up to the individual to secure their financial protections in the future. And acting now can save you a lot of grief by acting later. Now, I'm sure this isn't a particularly fun thing to be hearing on this presentation, but it's okay. The first step in ordering to essentially counteract this existentialist dread that we're all going to approach is by building a retirement plan. And that leads me on to step one of how to build a retirement plan, and that is understanding your retirement goals.